Solutions to the Dropout Crisis, addressing the dropout crisis one strategy at a time. Brought to you by the National Dropout Prevention Center Network with support from K-12 and in partnership with Clemson Broadcast Productions. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome once again to Solutions to the Dropout Crisis, the National Dropout Prevention Center's monthly broadcast. Today is kind of nice because I've got someone to introduce you to who's co-hosting with me. And so, therefore, I'd like to introduce you to Lynn Dunlap. Lynn is a new member of the National Dropout Prevention Center team, and she's the Public Information Director. So, hey, Lynn, welcome to Solutions.
Marty. Thank you for the welcome. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we're going to have some fun today.
Absolutely.
More than fun, we're going to have the front row at a workshop.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we love about Solutions. You know, Solutions is professional development. And we're so appreciative to K-12 Inc. for sponsoring Solutions so all the schools and districts and communities in the country can have access to high-quality professional development. Mm-hmm. And with the Solutions broadcast, we launch what we hope will be a real intense study on a particular topic. And today's topic is pretty important, that's for sure. And we're gonna get into that for a minute. The program that is professional development includes resources, mm-hmm. and that's what this ongoing professional development mm-hmm. entails. So we hope everyone will use that. And Lynn, you know, we're going to go back to school after this presentation today, and see if we can follow up as well. Yes. Yeah. So the whole idea about our program today is that we have not just this presentation, but we have the resources that I mentioned on the website. Mm-hmm. But what are some other ways that our viewers can get engaged in this topic?
Mm-hmm. Well, Marty, viewers can go to dropoutprevention.org, and they can participate in the conversation. They can join us through Twitter, and we have a Facebook page. So if you want to like us on Facebook, there's that option that's available as well. So we have a number of ways that this can be an interactive experience. So looking forward to some participation from our audience.
Yeah, and I think our guests are always willing to have conversations
Absolutely.
with people who write in. So if they put on that discussion board on the Dropout mm-hmm. Prevention site, mm-hmm. or those of you who tweet know how to do that.
Yes.
That would not be me, but it's something for everybody, that kind of thing. Now, we mentioned that this is an important topic that we're going to learn more about, and the topic is really under school improvement. Mm-hmm. How can we do a better job with our schools, and where do we even begin? Mm-hmm. I mean, where do we even begin? Well, our guests today are going to help us do mm-hmm. that, because they've been doing it in their district. Mm-hmm. So, Lynn, maybe you could take us right to the program and introduce our two wonderful people who are with us today.
I would love to. We have with us today Tiffany Osborne, who is principal at Lakeside Middle School in Anderson, South Carolina. It's a part of Anderson School District 5. We also have with us Leonard Galloway. He's principal of Robert Anderson Middle School, also in Anderson School District 5 in Anderson, South Carolina. So thank you both for being with us. Let me just get right to the point, and because we have such an interesting topic, let me just ask, how did this PAR come about? Just start from the beginning for us and just let us have a little bit of background into what occasioned it, what it is, and then we'll find out some of the results. So please.
Okay. Well, the belief in our district mm-hmm. is that anything lower than 100% for graduation rate is a problem. At the time, we received a new superintendent a couple of years ago. Our dropout rate was lower than 100, it was around 70%, a little bit above that. And so we, the district, wanted to see how can we improve our graduation rate while decreasing our dropout rate. So the first year, we started with the high school. The National Dropout Prevention Committee came into our mm-hmm. high schools to talk to stakeholders, talk to the teachers, talk to the principals, do a thorough investigation as to what are some of our weaknesses. And not only that, but what are some of our strengths. So that was the first year. The second year, we were able to talk to the middle schools, and that was at our level at the time, to look at our middle schools and see again, what are some areas of strengths? What are some areas of weaknesses that we need to hone in on to ensure that all of our students are learning and we are increasing our graduation rate? And then the year after that, we were able to look at our elementary school. So the big thing is making sure that everyone takes ownership. Of course, students graduate at the high school once they're in 12th grade, but what can we do at the primary school, the elementary school, the middle school, in the high school to ensure that we are increasing graduation rate and decreasing our dropout rate? So that's pretty much how we were able to get to this part.
Yeah, and let's just clarify for some of our viewers who may not know what's PAR. So a PAR is a program assessment and review. But from now on, we'll just say PAR. Okay. But I think that is something that we bandy about all the time, the Dropout Prevention Center, and you certainly do now because you've been going through it for several years.
That's correct.
But it's really a very in-depth, significant program, and so we want you to continue now and take us down that road.
Okay. Well, if you can follow along with us on our slide. Of course, the PAR visit, as I mentioned earlier, we were able to the National Dropout Prevention Center was able to come into our schools and assess our strategies, assess our instruction, and not only talk to teachers, but talk to parents, talk to community members, because they're all stakeholders. They play a part in our graduation rate and in the achievement of all our kids. So it started with our high schools in 2013 to 2014, moved on to the elementary in 2014 to 2015. I'm sorry, the middle school in 2014 to 2015, then to the elementary 2015, 2016. And I will say that each level, we were all appreciative of what we were able to, what we were able to get out of it. Things that we immediately took action on, which we will see later on in our presentation.
Great.
So we'll also talk about the preparation stages, because the PAR is it's not an evaluation, but it is an intensive look at your school and what the strengths and weaknesses are and the opportunities that you have for growth as well. So a big part of it is taking ownership through every level, elementary, middle, and high school. Our district contracted with the National Dropout Prevention Center, and the PAR is just one service that the National Dropout Prevention Center offers. So it was a way that our district felt like we could really dig down and see what are some ways that we can improve our complete school system. One of the first things that we did is to have a district meeting, and I think this was a big part of creating the buy-in. Because administrators as well as teachers and all stakeholder groups, they don't want to feel like this is something that's being done to them, but they want to feel like they're a part of the solution and a part of the process. And so in the fall, when we had the year that we had all the middle schools go through this process, that fall we met together with district leadership, and they explained the reasons behind this and really helped us feel comfortable about the process. And it helped us as administrators realize that this was going to be a very positive thing. Because when administrators go back and present it to their faculty and say, we're going to go through a PAR, and this is what we're going to have to do in this process. These are some things that we can gain from it, but it's going to be quite a process. It helps with the buy-in with the faculty as well when the administrator is positive. So that district meeting initially was important in laying the groundwork and the expectations.
That district meeting interests me. What did they actually say to kind of get your buy-in so you could go back to your school and authentically get the buy-in of your faculty?
Exactly. And they gave us a welcome letter, which we'll advance to in just a couple more slides so you'll see. But it was about an hour meeting, and they basically just talked about the benefits of the PAR visit and then what would be expected of us. And they laid it out very specifically. This is what we will need ahead of time, and helped us have a framework for what to prepare.
Yeah, so
let's
you're
dig into
seeing
that.
the benefits. It's going to be a lot of extra work, but the benefits have to be worth it. So that's your case. Okay.
Exactly.
And may I add in one point?
Yeah.
One of the great things about Tiffany and I being at the middle school, being at the same school that year when we started our PAR process, the previous year we served as members of the high school team. And so that helped us as we dived into it with our own school.
So you had some crossover then from the high school to the middle school, so that you then mesh those ideas.
That's right.
I have a quick question though. time frame from the time you had the initial letter until you began the meetings? What was the time frame for that?
That's a fantastic question, and it was different for different middle schools.
Okay.
We have 5 middle schools in our district. I believe the initial meeting was in October, and our visit was in February.
Okay.
So we had the most time of any middle school to prepare. So if we advance to the next slide, I can show you what we did with our faculty. We have professional learning communities. So we went ahead and let our faculty know through a blend space. We like to incorporate the technology as well. So you can see on this particular slide that we told our faculty in the professional learning communities what the program assessment and review are. And this slide is interactive, or it was for our teachers, so they could click on number 1, number 2, number 3, and be able to get a feel for what PAR was going to be like. In the second box, they were able to see the welcome letter that we as administrators saw that first initial meeting. In box 3, they were able to see the 5-part framework or the reasoning behind the PAR visit, all the components that the team would be looking for. We also added something extra in box 4. We had a self-evaluation. So we looked at all of those 5 frameworks that PAR laid out, and we actually had our staff evaluate where they thought we stood, because we as administrators felt like that was something important moving forward. We wanted outside feedback, but we also wanted to know what our own staff felt like we functioned as a school in each of these areas ahead of time. So that was something that the team did not ask us to do, but we just did extra. Number 5 there, one thing that you'll learn from the National Dropout Prevention Center research is that students are more apt to drop out when they have issues in at least 2 or 3 of these areas, but attendance, behavior, and course failures. So we had a spreadsheet at school that year that we were piloting where we tracked students' attendance issues, behavior, and also course failures. So you basically identify your at-risk students, and then we make sure that we have interventions in place for those students. So we let the teachers see that as well and interact with that spreadsheet throughout the year. And then box 6, of course, just sent them to the National Dropout Prevention Center website where there are effective strategies for each of the components as well. We did that with our teachers in December. But on this next slide, you can see the welcome letter.
Mr. A there, the principal at the West Side at the time, I was able to serve on his team, so we were able to look at this very detailed letter. The National Dropout Prevention Center left no room for questions because it's very detailed, which is good on our part, because even though we participated in the previous year, now we're taking control of this school, and we want to make sure that it is enacted correctly. So through this, the National Dropout Prevention, they requested various items, school maps, teacher schedules, just things like that, so they can know what to do. Also, they gave us a timeline, what they're going to do on the very first day of school. Now, with the high school, they stayed from Monday through Friday. With the middle school, they did not have to stay as long. As you all know, the high school, they are a different beast. They have more things going on, but still, the time that was spent with us was very thorough. We were able to take care of it in 3 days, 4 days. Okay. So this letter right here pretty much lists everything. We started on the very first day. The National Dropout Prevention listed, or they came to our school to let us know what was expected of us. But then at the end of the visit, they were able to come back to us and tell us what they were able to see. It really gave us a summary, not as detailed because they still have to get their items together. But, in a few weeks, they were able to send us a detailed letter, which I can go over in just a second as well. All right. So, and then you have an email from me. It's just something that I sent to the staff, just telling them this is what to be expected. We're going to get through this. Because, teachers can be sometimes, this is, and we didn't, like Tiffany said, we don't want it to be just another thing. This is something that is not going to only benefit our school, but it's going to benefit our district as well. So in my email, I just pretty much list the times that, we'll be meeting with the local action team, the dates and those things. And then right here, we were able to, there was some documents that was requested of us from the National Dropout Committee. In this, there are some things that we were able to get within our school, but there are some things that we needed assistance with the district office. But some of those things crossed over too. In other words, we were 1 to 5 middle schools. And so there are some things that applies to all middle schools. So when they came to the other middle schools, they were able to use the same information for each school. That's what I'm saying. So we had to depend very heavily on the district office for some information, which is fine. You know, it worked out well.
And this is a list that comes to the school a little bit closer to the visit. So I believe we received this spreadsheet in January. Our visit again was in February. So we had about a month to try to gather this portfolio of what I might call evidence that you're going to show the team in each of these areas. And one thing that we stressed was just open and honest communication with the team. Again, it's not an evaluation. So you want to let them see exactly how your school is so that they can provide you some feedback. It's your choice what you do with the feedback anyway. But the spreadsheet was helpful because you can notice in one of the columns on the left-hand side there an A, a B, or a C. So they help you prioritize. You're not going to have all of these pieces of evidence, but the more things that you can show just helps the PAR evaluation team see the details about your school and just gain a better perspective of how your school functions, because they are only there for 4 days. So during that time, they try to learn as much about your school as possible and also talk to as many people. So this is just a portfolio that you can have ahead of time, which they do study on their own time before they ever come to your campus. So they have an initial understanding about the data from your school as well.
Okay. Right here, I'm sure y'all are familiar with Google Drive.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably one of the best inventions ever.
I know.
But we were able to drop files in Google Drive and share access not only amongst administration but with the school or with the entire school. This is just some of the folders that we utilized during this time period.
That's how we organized all of our evidence. So everything that was listed on that spreadsheet, we just dropped it in one of the folders. And we also gave the PAR team members access to that. We had one printed copy of a notebook with hard copies of everything. And that's just the preference of the team members. And they're very flexible. So you just have a open communication with them. And we said, hey, we've got this electronically. Is that conducive to what you need? And they said that was fine. So instead of having a printed notebook or portfolio of evidence for each member, we just had one notebook and then electronic access for everyone. And then this is a spreadsheet. It was just for our in-house use, and we shared it with the team when they arrived. But in that welcome letter, they let you know all the different groups that they want to talk to. So you've got to organize your local action team. And as Mr. Galloway pointed out, that's going to include maybe your feeder elementary school principals, your high school principal, that your middle schools feed into would be included, possibly some community members, maybe your PTO board members. But it's about a group of about 12 to 15 people, anybody that you choose that you feel like can be a core group to help move your school forward. Then we use this spreadsheet just to decide when we could meet with each of these focus groups that's outlined in that welcome letter, because they're going to want to talk to a variety of different student groups, with teacher groups as well. They pretty much talk to every faculty member at some point during that week. And when they bring a team to your school during that week, they're going to have about 5 to 7 people or so. So some of them are in these particular meetings that are outlined on the spreadsheet, whereas others would be going out and observing classrooms during that time. So it's a very packed week. So the schedule and the preparation ahead of time is very important in order to make their time as valuable as possible while they're there.
And talking about preparation ahead of time, something as it may seem minute to y'all, but it's very important to us, as hall passes. Like Tiffany sent specialized hall passes to kids. So, cause you know sometimes kids want to get out of class, you know. So even something like that, being as detailed as possible to ensure that this week goes by as seamless as possible. Looking to your hall passes and making sure that there's an email sent that these kids should be sent out of the classroom at this time. That would definitely help the flow during this very important week.
So this is interesting. I was going to ask about the LIT, but I think you quite clearly described that, because that's one of the, LIT being the local action team, being stakeholders from all parts of the school and the community, is a really important part of the PAR process. I was always interested, it's fun to see how technology has moved into PAR, because when I used to do these, we didn't have this. It was a whole lot. Paperwork everywhere.
And it definitely made it easier on our part too. And that that spreadsheet was 4 pages of data and evidence that you need to collect. And so some of it you just have to delegate. Hey, this is guidance has this information.
Yeah.
Or our instructional coach has access to this information. So then when you have shared drive folders, then everybody can drop it in the appropriate folder, and you all kind of work together to create that portfolio of evidence. So it's definitely easier.
I was curious, little question here. You did this for the PAR team, and you saw how you actually got to have this overview of your school that you never would have done before.
That's right.
Putting all these things together. So they probably won't be coming back. Is this sort of a process that you see that's viable even without them there? And maybe you could speak to people who like this idea of school improvement, the things that you did. Could you do that yourself in some kind of a way to do a self-evaluation like you indicated the teachers did? What do you think about that?
Absolutely. I think that's beneficial. You don't have the outside feedback, of course, that from the experts who are on the PAR team. I mean, that's invaluable as a resource to have their feedback. But you could certainly do something like that in-house. We continually look at data. We analyze it within our PLCs, and schools are always changing. It's constantly changing. So to continually evaluate what you do and move forward is important.
Yeah. It's that whole thing. It's kind of the whole story about the elephant. You just see a blind. I know the ears to me are an elephant or the tail, whatever. But if you see the whole thing, because we tend to be in our own little silos, we don't always see the big picture. This brings the big picture into focus.
And one thing our district stressed is that this is not just a separate entity, but what you learn from the PAR visit, it should be incorporated into your strategic plan.
Yes.
Which is evaluated every year as well.
Wow. So what a nice...
And another thing that happened as well during the elementary visits, the the team was able to pull some of our administrators at the middle school and the high school level and let them follow along with them, so we would know what to look at and how to keep this ongoing. So we were very
so
appreciative
it's not
of that.
just within the school; it's school to school and from level to level that really fostered some connection.
That's right, because there are some middle school administrators that have never, stepped foot into an elementary school as far as an observation standpoint. They may have kids there, but, they are in tune with what goes on in the middle school. I think it was an eye-opener and something that we'll know what needs to go on as far as the district. So that's a positive thing.
That's absolutely very neat stuff. Yeah, so great things happened. Yeah, so where are we right now? I always get people sidetracked, but we got to get back on track.
That's fine. Well, we're at the week of the PAR visit.
Yeah.
And so, going back to the slide, we have the welcome team, and we welcome the team, And when the team came in, it's very nice that when you go into someone's house or when you have visitors at your house, you want to provide them with some snacks and, some drinks. So we had that open for them. But anyway, when they came in, we gave them an overview. And one thing that Tiffany did, just blew up a bit map on a poster board and had it on the walls. So, there's one thing to hold in your hand, but just those small things that are really actually pretty big. And gave them an overview of the weekly schedule. We also took them around the school on a tour, so they can see some some main areas, restrooms, cafeteria, gymnasium. Just give an overview. And then afterwards, they were able to interview me, which was. It was a nice interview, The thing about it, the folks were just so nice and welcoming. And when you go into it with the attitude that this is going to better your school, it's going to better your district, I think it works out well. And so that's why it's very important that from the top up, we push that down to our teachers so they can be positive about it. And
you can almost imagine the defensiveness that some people may have. They're coming in to tell us how, whatever from outside. So how to establish that kind of feeling that is that something that there was guidance on doing, or just that because you got the buy-in, everybody was eager to see how to improve?
That's right. And
and we even spoke to the students ahead of time and let them know that there would be visitors there, and we told them that the reason they're here is to just for you guys to show off and let them see the great things that you do at Lakeside every single day. So we never made it sound like an evaluation, because it's really not.
No.
And the teachers, we told them don't put on a dog and pony show. There's no point in it. Just do what you do on a daily basis. You teach good lessons every single day. So just make it a normal week.
That's great.
It sounds as though that you established a sense of transparency that filtered down from the top, from the principal, all the way down to the students. And so I'm sure you got really accurate, viable feedback to work with.
Correct.
So that seems to be an approach that might be well worth trying if a school were trying to do this on their own.
Yes, ma'am.
That's right. Going back to the slide, LAT meetings, initial and the final for feedback. So again, they started the week with the initial LAT meeting and then the local action team meeting, and then we ended it with the local action team meeting. And then just really ownership, taking ownership and not being defensive, being open, and that really helped us out. And you know, I'm at another school now, but some of the concerns or area weaknesses are not just a Lakeside issue; it's a middle school issue.
Yeah.
So I think that we all grew because of this visit. The next steps. I will share with you our executive summary, but I'll also like to share our slide presentation that we gave. Well, through our executive summary, we were able to give our slide presentation for our staff. So once the actual visit was over with, we called an emergency faculty meeting.
Emergency.
Yeah,
Wow.
I love that, right?
We did make it optional though. We said
Yeah,
if
we
you're
did.
just dying to know the feedback from the team that the local
Yeah.
action team heard
Yeah.
today, then
Yeah.
meet us after school and we'll let you know what our PAR team shared with the local action team today. So
And we had a nice group.
we did.
I was going to say,
We
how
did.
many people chose
Was it on
to
a
the
Friday?
emergency?
It
Yes.
was on
a Thursday.
Thursday.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
it
what
was
it
on
was a
Thursday.
Friday.
It was
I
a
wondered how
Friday.
that go.
So we were able to show our team summary, and I would like to share that with you all. Okay.
And we shared these slides with the faculty as well. So even if they didn't come to the meeting, they could still see the feedback from the team.
Okay. And through this, we were able to see our strengths, very friendly and welcoming. You know, we want
They provide coffee and cookies
That's
when you
what,
go.
exactly. That's
We
Really?
fed them well.
that's right.
Every day.
Well, 2 days they ate in the cafeteria, so it was very authentic and realistic.
Yeah.
And then the other 2 days we ordered out. So excited about changes occurring. And again, this was our first year there together. And I will say, I mean, honestly, you know, we were in there new, and I guess we were not. We took ownership of our school because, hey, my name's on the school report card, so whatever's
Yeah.
going on, I wanted to be positive.
Yeah.
But I think it made it easier too for us to take the suggestions, because our goal was to make Lakeside better. Our goal still is to make Lakeside better. So if you can understand where I'm coming from with that, it's not like I was there for 20 years. or
Well,
so.
yeah, that's a big difference.
It
yeah.
is.
It was
It
our
is.
first year there.
Yeah.
A strong relationship with teachers and students, pockets of instructional strengths based on the data, the administrative support, learning. We have SROs in our schools, and we try to, they're as visible as possible, because it's bigger than just education, because we want, there are so many things going on in the world right now,
Yeah.
that we want the police officers to always be seen in a positive. Like, so he's down there
Yes.
giving high fives, eating lunch with the students. So with this, it's about education, but it's a whole lot bigger than what's going on just within those school walls.
You're making it be like a community. When you mentioned the school resource officer or the policeman, I remember walking to school and there was a big fellow who was the traffic cop who knew all of us before we crossed the main highway to go up the hill to our school. And it was all because you were all in a little town in a community, and to see a school making that effort to include everybody. And I wonder if you got a lot of messages about that, and we'll probably hear that in the report. Not just the faculty and the school resource officers, but others in the school who are perceived and seen by students, by parents, by everybody. And that they themselves feel part of that learning community.
That's correct.
And that's an interesting thing that you mentioned that. But it just made me think, oh, that's just like when I grew up. And that's
Yes,
what you
ma'am.
kind of see that ideal.
That's right.
It's an
Yes,
ideal
ma'am.
now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah.
Another strength was our discipline plan was comprehensive and with fidelity. Just to piggyback off our discipline plan, we took it straight from the high school. So they have a very thorough discipline plan at the high school. So we felt that let's get our students, give them a head start and let them know what the expectation is at the high school. And so we started at the middle school level. So, and we try to work as within our feeder and within our district, but within our feeder, we try to work as well with each other, to work well with each other to make sure there's a seamless transition, not only from 5th to 6th, because our middle schools are from 6th through 8, but from 5th to 6th, but also from 8th and 9th. And so working well within our feeder helps with that.
That is an excellent idea, don't you think? I mean,
I was just listening to that.
yeah, that sort of situation arose in my children's lives where there was a huge disconnect. Actually, it was tougher at the middle school than the high school. They were prepared for whatever, and it was just so it's interesting to hear that there was a coordination there and an understanding of that. That's very good.
That's great.
Well done. Well
Yes,
done.
ma'am.
Yeah, that is a strength.
Well, to talk about our leadership, make it a priority to revisit the vision and mission and is clearly defined. Expand leadership opportunities and celebrate teaching success. Our teachers, you can never pat teachers on the back enough.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you pat them on the back every day. There's, they're just so giving and. Just to be a teacher,
Yes.
I mean, you all know. I mean,
Yeah.
it's awesome, an awesome
Yeah.
calling. So as far as our curriculum instruction, we need to continue to prepare for one-to-one implementation. At the time, Lakeside did not have Chromebooks for each kid. We were on the verge of getting it, and they have it this year. So as we were preparing for that, we were trying to work with the kids and the teachers as far as instruction to get them ready for this one-to-one implementation. So that is what that is referring to. Continue our professional learning communities to improve teaching and learning, increase student engagement and success through rigor and relevance, and provide vertical alignment within Lakeside Middle School and among future schools. That goes back to our relationship with our middle schools and our elementary schools and our high school.
Yeah.
Have our 5th grade teachers at the elementary come up to our 6th grade classrooms and see what is needed for them to transition those kids successfully. And then not only that, have our 8th grade, we provide some high school credit courses, English 1 and Algebra 1, but have the Algebra 1 teachers and English 1 teachers from high school come down to the middle school and work with our teachers to make sure that the instruction that we're giving our students is rigorous.
Right.
And so we don't lose kids when they go to the high school.
That's a big transition,
It
too.
is. It is. Evaluate the role of STEM in our curriculum and use our expertise to strengthen instruction. And that really means we have a lot of teachers in our building who are experts in their own areas. How about allowing them and continuing to allow them to lead professional development in our building? Sometimes we want to go 3 or 4 hours away to listen to some professional development when we already have experts within our building. Climate and culture address safety concerns. Prior to us speaking, at the time, Lakeside is an open campus, but, in a year or so, they'll be with Robert Anderson, with me, and it will be definitely safer and increase parent community involvement. So that's something that we all can work on.
Yes.
Wraparound extended day and school-wide targeted interventions. We have Power Up. What that is, we pull kids who need to be double dipped in ELA or math. They're already receiving a math class for the day, but how about let's pull them again for that day to catch them up. We may have some kids who are not reading on a grade level or they're not where they should be with math. We look at data to see if these kids need to be pulled out for doing a related arts class or extended day or whatnot to give them an opportunity to increase their learning in those areas.
Right.
So that's our Power Up class. And then expand interventions specific to the needs of Lakeside Middle School. So that is pretty much what they gave us. And that was a summary.
That's a summary. It's kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so one asks the question, obviously, oh my goodness, where do we start? It's nice to know we're good at this, and this, and we have strengths.
That's right.
Wow. There's a lot on the plate there. So
it is.
What happened next?
And the truth is that if you're, again, honest with yourself and about your school, that nothing that the PAR team says is going to be a surprise. You already know what you need to work on and what you're doing well on. So it just helps reconfirm that when they lay it out there for you in black and white.
Like somebody else noticed.
Somebody else knows what you know. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But that's one of the biggest things that we had to do is prioritize. And the team will tell you that too. You can't tackle all of this at once, and maybe you don't need to. But somehow decide on what those high priority areas are. And the way we looked at it is, what are our biggest needs? What could we do at our school that would make the most positive impact or the biggest positive impact. If we focused on these 1 or 2 or 3 things, what would make the biggest positive impact? And so a fun way that we did that to also pull in the faculty and create buy-in from them, and you can see on this next slide. This is effective practices in middle school.
Looks like some voting going on here.
Exactly. And so we had the teachers in groups, and they sort of did a survey of each of these 10 areas. And this is one of the resources that's on the National Dropout Prevention Center website, of course. But does your school have a clear mission, district support, and it goes on and on. So each group of teachers was able to come to the smart board, again, incorporating the technology, and put a plus if they thought that's something that our school was doing well, or a minus if they thought it's an area that we need to improve on. And so we were able to narrow it down just from those discussions that day of some things that we felt like we needed to focus on. And you can see where the negatives are lying, but it's, number 7, for example, identifying at-risk students. Number 6, success for every student. And some other areas as well. The district support, clear mission. Again, that was our first year there, so kind of clearly defining what it is that you are about here at Lakeside with different administration. But it came kind of surface to the top that we wanted to focus on student supports. So then in a later faculty meeting, one thing that we did to try to figure out how we are going to support students, so that was our area of focus, that from all the PAR feedback, we want to figure out how we can support students and make sure that every student has the ability to be successful at our school. So again, just a fun way to get some feedback from teachers and help them feel like they have some buy-in. We had the little Charlie Brown cartoon of students, and then we had a line there as basically the floor. We also read a little book about, I don't remember the name of it now, but it's about students falling through the cracks, literally falling through the cracks. And then what does your school do to help build that foundation where they don't fall through the cracks? And just use that analogy as a metaphor, I guess you could say, or create a visual in our minds. And we all shared, and then we came to the smart board and we wrote down some things that we do to provide a floor of support. So that's in the green. What are some things that our school already does to provide a floor of support? And then what are the needs that students have? That's the blue at the top. So that helped us just get the conversation going. And then as our conversations continued close to the end of that school year, we had our instructional person from the district office, Dr. Vita New. She came in and used this particular model to brainstorm some more details about how we could support students the next year. In our master schedule for the following school year, we were able to create an advisory time, which is at the end of the day from 2:55 to 3:20.
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah. Where
students go back to their homeroom, and that homeroom teacher acts as an advisor or a mentor. We incorporate homework time as well as some mentoring practices and some team building activities as well, and some other things. But this was our time. It was in May, I believe, at the end of that school year, where we went through this model. And we particularly, Leonard and I, did not want to lead this meeting. We did not want it to feel like administration is asking you to do this. We wanted the faculty to feel, and we truly meant this genuinely, you guys create the system that's going to help you meet the needs of the students. And so we went through needs. What needs will this program address when we have this advisory program? What needs is it going to address? What is going to go into this program? What is going to go on in this program? What happens as a result, or what do we expect to happen as a result? And then what are the benefits? And so it was about an hour discussion where Dr. New walked our faculty through these 5 questions, and we just sat there and took notes. Really didn't participate in the conversation, but let the faculty decide what advisory needs to look like. And that was our one thing that we focused on from the PAR visit, that they decided that they felt like this is what we need to do first.
So that was the first thing. That would be last year then. The end of last year?
Yes, ma'am. Last May.
So you've put this into place?
Yes, ma'am.
How's it going?
Yeah.
It's going really well.
That you want to know?
Yes, I want to know.
We're going to continue to have it next year as well, but we're going to move it to the morning extended homeroom instead of at the end of the day.
That must be some lesson that was learned.
Yeah, lesson that was learned, and you know, a lot of the students at the end of the day they're tired, and so we've got a little more captive audience in the morning.
Yeah,
and many of them will wait until the morning, perhaps to work on their homework that's due later that day. So the closer it gets to the deadline, the more apt they are to strive and to be focused. So we're thinking about moving it to the morning next year.
So well, this is a good template then for all the other changes that would take place then.
Yes, ma'am.
But it's been a success other than afternoon versus morning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one thing that we felt like was so beneficial about the PAR visit, again, they're not going to tell you anything that you don't, if you're honest, you don't already know about your school, but it helps to have that expertise to come in and kind of confirm it. The thing that we thought was most beneficial is they don't just leave you after that week, but you can still contact them. They're still a part of your school. And they also have a website, which we have up here on the slide as well. But if you go to the National Dropout Prevention Center website, these 15 areas, you can click on these links, and there are resources there that if you feel like, hey, the mentoring tutoring piece is the area where we feel like we need to work, you can click there, and there's multiple resources. Also, schools that have tried things that have been effective, like Lakeside's advisory program. There are other schools out there that you can see what they're doing and what's working.
And I believe from some of the entries there, you can contact these other schools.
Absolutely.
And so it really is that whole idea of what the National Dropout Prevention Network is all about. And that just, as you've entered that world and now see all the positives that you can do to connect to make your school a better place. Yeah. So what's your recommendation to our audience out there about this process or in any kind of way?
I think if a school is very serious about student achievement and decreasing the dropout rate and increasing graduation rate, then I think this is definitely the route to pursue. It starts from the top. And I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about from the board. We have a very supportive board, which leads us to have a very supportive superintendent and a very supportive district office, which makes it a whole lot easier on us. And I think that we were able to see the positiveness, the ability that this has to change schools. And one thing that helps when the entire district embrace it. That way the middle school, the high school, and the middle school and the elementary, they're all on the same page. So if someone's serious about it, I think they should go through this. And I think they should also put individuals on their local action team that's going to be beneficial, that's going to bring positive contributions to your school. I think that helped us out a lot, because when you have open, honest conversations about what needs to go on in your schools, that helps out tremendously, and it gets us on the right path a tad bit quicker.
I love the point that you make about integrating the elementary school, the middle school, and the high school and coming up with one plan, or at least the overlap, so that one knows what the other's doing. Another thing that I heard you say was the amount of buy-in that you were able to get, because no one came in and said, you must do this.
That's right.
It was integral to the school. They decided what was the next steps to take, with support from the actual evaluation, if you will. I love those points.
Well, one thing that our superintendent says is that students don't decide to drop out in 11th grade or 12th grade. It's already made up in their mind in middle school or in elementary.
It's a long process.
That's right. So they don't just wake up in 11th grade one day and say, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
No, and so the quicker we can attack and address those issues, then the better off our students will be.
You make an excellent point.
Well, schools have so much to accomplish every day. It can be overwhelming to teach the students, to get them to lunch, to get them to this. All these things are just overwhelming. But it's very rare that people can step back and look in the middle of the school year and have somebody come in and then go do this whole process. But I hear you saying, and I think we both do, this is so valuable, a thing to make time for, to figure out how you can do it. And you say it started from the school board down, so this is a program. If you're listening to this and you're a teacher or a counselor or a principal, how perhaps you could share this with someone in your community to say, hey, this is something that we need to do.
That's right.
We need to pause and look at what we're doing and see how we can do it better. And it involves everybody. And, you know, you have your favorite parts. I don't know which is my favorite part. They're all my favorite parts. But I love the involvement of the local action team. And this reaching beyond the school boards, bringing them in and getting good spokespersons. Who could you say what fields of the world in Anderson that your local action team came from? Just give people a real example.
I mean, Lakeside is located right beside Burger King. So we had the Burger King manager come over.
Oh,
because
yeah.
what's going to happen is, as far as the business leaders, they want graduates who can come to work and who can read, and they want, and it's a great thing about it, we don't want everybody to leave Anderson where we're located.
Right.
We want them to stay and help build up our county and help build up our city.
So local business would be a recommendation. What other parts of the community?
Of course, parents.
Parents.
Oh, ministers, yeah. We'll have a local pastor on our board, because you know it's great to have a pastor come in because he knows the kids, he knows the community.
Yeah.
And if everybody see us with our hands together and we all working towards the mission,
Right.
because you know more than likely educated individuals don't really commit crime. I mean, education and dropout. I mean, it plays a role in crime rate. I mean, everybody they would have a vested interest in making sure that every kid is graduating, and so we as many folks we can get involved with this, the better off our county, and then you go bigger for that state, and go bigger than that nation will be. You know, it seems very big, but it really is very simple. Let's graduate kids.
Yeah,
I mean,
And I can't tell you how many times that we've done our strategic planning or just short-term planning at our schools, and we'll reference the PAR visit. Remember in the PAR visit where we recognized or we learned.
Yeah.
So it really does help you over the next several years to think about planning strategically and doing what's best for kids in your school. You mentioned that you could do it in-house. I guess you probably could, but the value of just having the expertise, and it makes you go through the process.
Yeah.
Because we do get so busy in schools.
Yeah.
But when you sign up for this and you get your welcome letter and here's the task that you need to do and here's the deadline, it really pushes you to go through the process, and it's so valuable on the other side.
Yeah.
also on our team, we included some local universities as well.
Okay.
Because they have a vested interest as well.
Yeah.
So there's
So,
many folks.
from the education world, from the faith community, from the business
that's
world.
right.
Did you have anyone from social services or anything like that? Any of those agencies? But that's a
Don't
possible.
recall.
That's a possibility, though. It's
Yeah, it
just
is.
absolutely.
It's right. That's
I mean,
right.
basically, we don't say school dropout prevention is not just a school problem; it's a community challenge.
That's right.
And I think you exemplify that with this whole process.
That's right.
It's really exciting to hear the whole thing through. I mean, I've been through part of them. I've read other things, but you've taken us through the whole thing. And don't you feel like an expert?
Absolutely, I do, and thank you.
I mean,
You
my
made it
gosh.
approachable. You broke it down into the different stages. You told us that there was accountability built into it. You told us that you got buy-in from the top, that you were transparent through the process, and just made it just very accessible, and made it something that would be something that different districts could accomplish.
Right. Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. Well, I've got to give you an A+ as the student today who had not been familiar with
I
PAR.
like to make A's. A+s are
You got
even
an
better.
A+, but I think you've learned a lot. I mean, that's a summary, and aren't you pleased that you have been such good?
Definitely.
It's always good for teachers to hear their students do so well. But you have been awesome, and your
thank you.
district
Thank you.
is to be commended for looking not just at one school or just the high schools, but understanding that it's a feeder situation and it's a process, and we have to start. And those transitions, I like you. That is so important. So, Tiffany and Leonard, it's been a pleasure to meet you
Thank you
both
all.
and
Thank you.
have you
Thank you.
come and bring your story here today. And I know it's going to have an impact. There's us two here at this workshop, but there's going to be lots of other folks who are going to get to see this and learn about PAR.
Awesome.
And everybody out there will know what PAR is: Program Assessment and Review.
That's right.
So, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
And well, and thank you for joining me.
It was my
I hope we
pleasure.
can do this again sometime.
course.
Okay.
Of course.
And so we look forward to everybody out there who likes to watch Solutions to join us next month. The next time we have Solutions to the Dropout Crisis.